Welcome, my friends. Here I am on a beautiful Monday afternoon, June the 23rd. Look at, I'm sitting on the beach. I must be at Key West or someplace like that. Look at that sky. But we had a beautiful sky out here today in Woburn. And I was very happy. I got a lot of things done around the rakes, rakes and shovels and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't make any difference. I had a nice afternoon, talked to the neighbors. What's going on? They always say, what's going on, Ed? What's going on? I say, I don't know yet. I have to go down there at 5 o'clock and find out myself. Mrs. Ahern gives me this piece of paper, and then I scribble all over it to make sure that I do it. I don't want to do it exactly the way she wants me to do it, but that's good. All right, let's start off now. Paul's not here, of course. I like to say he's out collecting signatures, but they already got enough signatures for that ballot. But there's a couple of interesting things on here, but we'll just skate right through the way she gives them to me, and maybe we'll get out of here by 5:30 and get ready for next week. Now, next week is the beginning of Ms. Gatter is getting things organized. She's the director of this program. And she's beginning to get everything organized for, we're going to go outside starting next Monday, depending on the weather, of course. So we'll start off maybe with some of the aldermen, school committee, who knows. And then that'll pretty much take care of the whole summer. I mean, the summer only lasts 10 or 12 weeks, and we get more than that of political people to talk to. So some don't come anyway, so that makes it easier. But they'll all get out, they're all going to get an email telling them that their opportunity is going to come out and sit under a tree in the shade on a perfect day in Woburn and talk a little bit about the politics or the education of the children or whatever they want to talk about. And then as we get the assignment sheet filled up, when there's a vacancy, then maybe individual emails will have to go to people who haven't responded yet. You have to give them a little nudge sometimes, These people are very important, elected people, very, very important. So you have to you can't just say, would you like to come on and be on the program? You have to say, people would love to have you come on and see what you look like and talk a little bit, You have to go give them a little, you get more with sugar, the guy says. So that's what we try and do. And by that time, it'll be winter, so I don't even want to talk about that no more. It's not even summer yet. Well, I guess it is summer, as of the 22nd of June. So that's what we're going to do. Next week is first night out. So that'll be, we'll probably do them in the afternoon, like noontime, 12:30, 1 o'clock, because it's a little complicated to get into here, but they go through the process, and then at 5 o'clock, the same day, we'll put it on the tape. And it'll have to be, that way I get an opportunity to watch it the same day myself. And I have to laugh sometimes, but we're trying to have fun. There's enough serious, crazy business going on in the world today without us making it worse. But I'd like to start off with vandalism at the Woodbrook Cemetery. Wouldn't you like to be walking through the cemetery some evening with your wife or girlfriend or somebody, or your father or uncle or somebody, and see the kids knocking over the gravestones? Just go over there, pick one of them rocks up and knock them off the head with it. I think it's outrageous to think that, vandalism is vandalism, I suppose. You all go through this period of time. How often does this happen? This has probably happened once every other year since the cemetery was put there. But some of these stones, the people take care of them, and they're very old. They have a historical value, and they've been sitting out there in the weather for all these years. So I'm sure you don't have to do much more than lean on them to knock them over. But I saw Inspector Wells' picture in the paper, taking fingerprints off of one of them. But I'd love to have him, I hope he gets some fingerprints, because most kids today are fingerprinted. because of laws the government passes. If they get lost or wherever, you can identify them. So he may be able to get something. I don't know, they probably kick him over. But I'd say these little rascals are running around in the cemetery just thinking, laughing and having a great old time, just knock over a few headstones. What's the big problem? Well, the big problem is it could be our grandfather's headstone, so wake up and get off of that stuff. Mark Comeiro, big-time athlete in Woburn High School in the 90s, graduated, good student, captain of the football team, blah, blah, blah. Finishing 20 years in the Navy. You know, I thought, he just graduated a minute ago. He's already getting 20 years in the Navy, so he's getting out of the Navy. But he's had a wonderful experience in being on the USS Constitution in Charlestown. Now, I say that. I don't know how the duty is there, but having an opportunity to have been in the service, I don't know if I want that kind of duty. You got to get out. You're dealing with all these people that visit the Constitution from all over the world to come to see Old Ironsides, come to Boston and walk on the Freedom Trail, all that stuff, and go over there. And I'm sure he has to be there to, you know, educate the people and stuff, how the boat worked and all that kind of stuff. And so you got to be dressed. You got to be put on the best show for the United States Navy, all that kind of stuff. So we at the station here congratulate him. Everybody knows his dad and his mother. I don't want to get into the whole family history, but the kid's a good kid. He's a wonderful family, and I hope he has a great career if he stays in the Navy or if he comes out of the Navy. So that'll be up to him to decide, of course, but he's had 20 good years. Navy. I'm sure he's got a lot of ribbons in the past on his chest from a lot of the conflicts that have been going on over the past 20 years. Congratulations, Mark Comeiro. Hurld-Wyman site talks Tuesday, June 24th. That's been rescheduled because of a conflict for the city council. You know, the city council meets on Mondays with committee meetings, and then Tuesdays and other meetings, conservation, blah, blah, blah. But they were going to have it at City Hall, but there's a conflict. So now they're at the Joyce Junior High School at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, June 24th. Now this is all getting a discussion with Nabisco. I think it's not Nabisco like a cookie. It's like, I think it's just Nabisco, D Nabisco or something like that. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. But they're the architectural outfit that's in here trying to figure out where to build this school. And as you are aware, if you watch the program periodically or regularly, Vincent Grillo is a spokesman for the Wyman Street group, who are adamantly opposed to having the school built on the property where the farmer's market is. So that leaves the piece they call the seed loft lot down at the other end of Wyman Street near Burlington. That leaves that where the Mormons were going to build a church there. That's a possibility. And the only other two possibilities are where the Wyman School is now, and that's out, forget that, and where the Hurld School is now. I don't know about that. So I'm sure it'll be pretty well attended, at least by the people in the neighborhood and people who are going to have to send their children there. Because now the children who go to the Wyman will go there, and the children go to the Hurld, so they'll all be together. So that school will cover a larger area of the city of Woburn. So I'm sure some of the parents who have very young children and getting ready for preschool and first grade would be very interested to see where the school, how the architectural firm is responding to some of the advice they're getting. All right, so that's 6 p.m. at the Joyce. Next Tuesday, no, tomorrow, 24th, because today's the 23rd, that's right. So if you're interested in that particular subject, get over there early. It's early though, 6 o'clock, but. North Woburn, Woburn Truck Parts Auto petition is withdrawn. In order to have a recycling facility, or whatever the technical word is, I'm not really sure how Mr. Tarvey, the attorney for Mr. Holland, presents his, what he does there, manufacture. I thought it was something to do with manufacturing, I don't know about that. But it came out of committee last week on a 3-to-1 vote. And I thought then, you know, if you can get 3 votes in committee with 1 opposed, that there's 5 left, right? That's 4, so there's 5 left, so you gotta get 3 out of the 5. And that's the first thing they do is start counting heads. So everybody's counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, so there's 9 of them. 3 of them voted yes in committee. So that means he had to get 3 more. I thought he had them, but apparently when they counted, they didn't think so, so they left, they withdrew the petition. So if you, this is an option you have when you go before the city council asking for a special permit because you need 6 votes. You can ask for leave to withdraw without prejudice. Now this thing has been going on for months. So I don't know where the without prejudice comes into the picture, because it seems to me you're going to withdraw with a lot of prejudice, because the people there are just not for it. The people in North Woburn are just, they're in a big anti-mood. They're in the anti-mountain of 2 years of crushing rocks across the street, and now they're against having a recycle, I don't know what they call it, manufacturing, recycling, or just a junkyard up there where there was a junkyard already. So the only thing I can offer in that is that the people go down there and one woman got up and said there'd be hundreds of trucks going in and out of there. I don't know, you know, traffic is not an argument for anything, as far as I'm concerned. If I was on the city council, don't come and tell me about traffic. Traffic, you go over and try and get through Woburn from right now. Try and get to Demoulas, or go over the west side. Try and get on any of these roads, Cambridge Road. Try and get on 128. 93 is a parking lot. So traffic is traffic. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no law that says you cannot have 10 cars and drive them wherever you want. But the idea that somebody's going to open up a business and there's going to be hundreds or thousands of cars traveling back and forth with old water heaters on the back and taking them down there, and you get $5 for it, and this guy recycles them, and you got rid of it. Now, I don't know, you have to call somebody now if you have a water heater and you want to get rid of it. I don't know whether Waste Management will take it if you pay for a sticker or whatever, but that just puts somebody else in business, and then he'll load up his truck with all the old water heaters or whatever, radiators or whatever that kind of metal that you're trying to get rid of, and he'll haul them off to Chelsea, because that's where all the stuff is now, because that's where the boats come in, and they load all those boats with all this extra metal, and they send it to China, and then China sends it to Korea, and Korea sends it back to us in a Hyundai. So there you go. There's a new car for you. But they must have counted heads and said, we don't have 6 votes here tonight, so let's get out of town. So I'm sure they'll be back, get reorganized, and come back. Or maybe just forget about the idea, I don't know. Wegmans is getting closer to open. There's been ads in the paper for jobs. I guess you can, they hire so many people, I guess you can pretty much get any job you want outside of being the owner or the manager or the meat cutter, unless you are a professional meat cutter. But they're planning to open in October. It's up near the Burlington Mall, way in the back there, but I'm sure there'll be all kinds of signs in the Northwest Industrial Park, because it's a huge building with a 4 or 5 story parking lot. And the idea of these supermarkets today is that they want you to go shopping for your groceries and stay in the store pretty much a day. You can be entertained and all this stuff in these stores, you know. And if you don't like the entertainment or the food or whatever's going on in the store in Wegmans, in the neighborhood there's going to be all kinds of activities too. There's a bowling alley, unfortunately, that had a fire a few months back, but they're going to rebuild it. You can go bowling. You can do a lot of things up in that industrial park when it gets all finished. So that'll be a very, very hot spot for a while. Wegmans is a huge store. I've never been in one. But we used to, it wasn't so long ago in the city of Woburn that we had A&P. Let's see, I can remember First National was in the center. That's as far as I can remember. Pretty much right around where Dunkin' Donuts is now. And then you go down south then was, what was it, A&P. Now, those were the supermarkets in Woburn. Then you turn around now, we've graduated up through Stop and Shops, the Moolis, Market Basket, all those stores, Star Market, and then all of a sudden you wake up and there's a Whole Foods, which is quite a store in itself to go over there, and there's a pile of apples there that you wouldn't think they'd sell in a year, but every one of them is shiny. Everything in the store is just shiny and bright. And they have stuff that's a little bit odd, that you probably can't get at Market Basket. You know, just odd stuff, but you can have lunch there also. They have pizza, they have all kinds of things there. So Whole Foods comes to you and say, wow, how can a supermarket get any better than this? Well, Wegmans is, you could probably put 3 Whole Foods inside a Wegmans store. They're just huge. You probably need roller skates to get around in there. And I guess there's a couple more big supermarkets that are coming from the west to see if they can't make a buck out here in New England. So it'll be interesting to see. But if you're out of work or you want to have a part-time job or you want to work mother's hours, I'm sure Wegmans will love to have you. They're opening in October. City Council's asked extended hours at Wendy's. If you know what Wendy's is, you get a point. And that's a non-starter, according to Mrs. Broom, who's the alderman in Ward 5. Wendy's wants to change some of the things they got when they asked for a special permit. When they came to Woburn, they said, we want to, that's where Friendly's it was over there in East Woburn, so they say, we want to put a Wendy's there, or tear down the Friendly's, change it around the lot a little bit, and then we'll have Wendy's there. And of course they come down and the city council says, you got to do this and this and this and this, and they go, yeah, and off they go. And then 4 or 5 years later they come back and say, well, we'd like to do this, we'd like to do that, we'd like to change some of those things that we got a special permit for. And of course, the city council said, no, you agreed to do these other things, so therefore, no, you can't do it. The problem now is that they want to stay open in their dining room where you go in and sit down and eat till midnight. And they want to have their drive-through, as I understand, I could be mistaken, they want to have their drive-through open till 2 o'clock in the morning. Which you say, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning, I am snoring, I'm not looking for a Wendy's. But, you know, you just come out of some of the local establishments and you may want to stop and have a hamburger or whatever at that time of day, a Friday night into a Saturday morning or something, and you may want to do that. That's all well and good. But she says that that's a non-starter, no way. But as far as I know, McDonald's is open 24 hours a day over there. And they're only 100 yards away. So I don't understand how one guy can be open 24 hours a day and one guy cannot be open till 2 in the morning. But this will be kicked around a while before she has to make a decision on how hard she wants to fight. But say it's a non-starter right from the beginning, I'm not so sure about that. The second annual Library Park Blues Festival is set for August 23rd. We're going to have Mr. Murray and Mr. Deva, the two sponsors that started this thing last year, come in again. We talked to them a little bit before. We try and give them as much advertising as possible because I really believe I missed the music gene somewhere in my life. I don't know, I didn't get it, but I like to listen to music, but I don't have, I couldn't name a group, you know, outside of the Beatles and Rolling Stones. Other than that, I don't know a group. But I think that in this particular instance, where you have a blues festival set to make a few bucks for veterans, then I think you're onto a good idea, because you're going to get better musicians to come and play. Once you get a history of how the situation is going to work, like last year, if you had they had a liquor license last year, and I think if you remember, everybody was having a beer, had to be in a little penned up area. Well, I think that's maybe gone away. So maybe if you have a beer, you might be able to walk around a little bit and drink it. I think the music will get better over a period of time. I think that these two young guys can, and they're both musicians too, can develop this into getting some high talented blues musicians in here. And I think people will say, let's go to Woburn on the August the 23rd thing and listen to some music by this guy and that guy. I just really have the feeling that they're onto something. So I hope that works out good. Last year, remember, they all came early, got on their motorcycles, went to Gloucester, Stage 4 Park. I don't know if they had a coffee there, whatever they did, and they turned around and came back. That started the day off. And then from then on, the music played one after another. They cleaned up after they were finished, boom, bang, boom. You never know they were there, and everybody was happy. So I think with their organization and the cooperation they could get from Chief Ferrillo, I think everything will be just perfect and build on last year. And then we'll have the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, the 100th anniversary of the blues at Library Park. I think it's great. All right, a couple more things here, we'll get out of here. 57-acre jelly to close the Woburn site, 200 people to be laid off. Do you ever hear that? That's like, holy mackerel. Holy mackerel. Now, the jelly, as everybody knows the jelly has taken a lot of raps over the years. Between the good smell and the bad smell. I live on Vernon Street. I'm up high over here looking down on the jelly probably. And but everyone, when the wind blows in a certain direction and the strawberry or whatever raspberry, it's pretty cool. You think the odor's coming off the trees, you know, you go out in the yard and say, holy mackerel, that really smells good. Now, on the other side of the coin, the raw materials they use to make gelatin are pretty awful. So therefore, on bad days when the wind is going that way or this way, then it's pretty awful. So they've taken a rap pretty good over the years. In fact, maybe, well, I don't know how long, but maybe since the place was put there, and it started in 1919 as the Atlantic Gelatin, and we still call it the Atlantic Gelatin today, or at least some people do. And then it was sold to Kraft, and Kraft has pretty much had the guiding light on the place up until now. And they're going to be out of there by the end of 2016. There's 200 employees. Now, I always say this here when the jelly gets in trouble. I know a lot of people, everybody knows a lot of people who worked at the jelly. Now, jelly was a manufacturing job. So when you get out of school, back in the 50s or 40s or whatever, and you maybe weren't the brightest bulb in the town, and you wanted to have a nice job, 8 to 4, 5 days a week, and you want to have a career in manufacturing, you could go to the jelly, work, they take care of you. Now, a lot of the guys worked at the jelly. They paid their mortgage, they got married, they had a family, they paid their mortgage, they bought a house, blah, blah, blah. They put their kids through school, they got a pension, and the jelly continued on. So I say that for the length of time the jelly's been there, it's been a pretty good operation for the city and a good taxpayer, because I think I can remember times when the city was really hurting for dough, that companies like Boston Edison and the jelly would pay their taxes a little bit early so that the city didn't have to go out and borrow money. Now, I could be corrected on that, but I seem to remember that. So it'll be a sad case. I doubt very much whether the jelly will ever close. And I have my own feelings about that. And the reason is because to make gelatin, there's not a lot of gelatin plants in the world. I think there's a couple in South America, maybe one in Europe or so. But they made gelatin, and gelatin goes into film, goes into food, goes into a lot of stuff. So they did very well. Now, to make this product at the jelly, you have to have a lot of water. A lot of water. Now, they own Walker's Pond, which is right over here on Montreal Avenue, where the train fell in and went to the bottom. It's never been seen again. It said, because there's a bottomless pit there. The train was coming around, fell off the tracks, went in the pond, and disappeared. So they own that pond. They pump the water over there to clean up and use it in their process. They own wells all around their own property over there. So they use a lot of water in their manufacturing and in their cleaning up after they manufacture their product. They have to keep everything clean. So they use a lot of water. And if I remember correctly, there was another gelatin plant which was right downstream from them in Winchester, which the Whittons owned. I think maybe, let's see, the Whittons. This would be the grandfather or the great-grandfather of some of the young Whittons who have been in the building business today. And I think there was like on Cross Street in that area, that there was a Whitten Gelatin Company. So we'll have to research that maybe, but I'm pretty sure it was there. Why don't we, before we get to the Community Preservation Act, why don't we see what the weather is going to be in the next few days? Woburn forecast, Wednesday, of course. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, lightning, that don't mean nothing. 83. So that means there's going to be a lot of humidity, and a dark cloud will come over while I'm on the fifth hole and pour on my head, and I'll get soaked and not play well. But it'll be good exercise for me. But it looks like really rain on Friday, but then the weekend will be good again. 60s is nice for sleeping because the windows are open and you know it's all alive. It's real nice. This is really turning out to be pretty good because we didn't have much of a spring. There was a lot of rain, but now this 80s and 70s, we can deal with going right into the 4th of July. And if anybody's interested, the longest day of the year was what? The 22nd, and the sun rose at 5:07. And this morning when I looked, the sun rose at 5:08. So we're already losing time. The days are getting shorter already. So by the time we get to the winter solstice, then it'll be the shortest day of the year. All right, now, the Community Preservation Act. CPA expected to be on the ballot in November. I hope it's not, because if it is, I'm voting against it. Now, I don't know what these people downtown think they're doing. You cannot, I've riled about this before. I elected Dickie Gately in Ward 2, because we have representative government in the city. And then we have a mayor, he's elected also. So now, I don't have time to be dealing with the Community Preservation Act. People go down to them and say, we want to have a community preservation. They should vote on it. They should vote and say yes or no or whatever, and then come back to the people and explain why they did it. No, what they do is they push it back on me. They say, oh no, the people got to vote for it. How can the people vote for it? They don't even know what the whole thing is all about. They didn't know what it was about when they asked for 3% increase the last time, I know it was a couple of years ago, and the thing was defeated. So now they turned around and say, let's put it on the ballot again. because we want the people to vote. The people are not educated on this stuff. They're not educated enough on this stuff. But anyway, they want a 1%, I guess I'm going to call it a tax. It's a tax. They want a 1% tax that comes out, and it goes through this a big process of preservation, and I don't know what we're trying to preserve. But in the city of Woburn, they just a little blurb that was in the paper. You know, they're going to do stuff in open space. We have enough open space. Don't need more money for open space. Restoration of recreational areas. Now, I don't know where those recreational areas are, unless they're the ones that my friend from Ward 1 thinks she can jump from table to table down a pond or whatever. But I mean, what restoration is, you know, the city did a nice job restoring the flagpole down the pond. I mean, people get this restoration stuff done without taking more money out of my pocket. Historic resources, I'm not sure exactly what that means. And community housing. Now, we already have community housing, and we pay for it. And we have a guy over here, McGann, who runs this Woburn Housing Authority. The guy's an expert. He came out of Boston. He's cleaned up every one of these projects. They're all in perfect condition, you know, with solar panels on the roof, the whole deal. That's what I call community housing. I don't know what the definition of people who are going to be on the CPA are going to call community housing. They can buy my house and then let me live in it for free. That would be good. But anyway, I'm against it, and I'm against it for those reasons. We've already paid taxes. Some of this stuff has got to be put in the budget, you know? So now, if it doesn't get pushed in the budget, this is what happens. We get a meals tax that's worked out pretty well for the city. We're going to have a Community Preservation Act, which I hope it doesn't pass. We got a group that's trying to raise money through grants, through talking to some of the business community people for helping out the school department. The school department should get their money from the mayor, and that's the end of that. That shouldn't even be going down the road. But I haven't been able to talk to anybody about that yet. But I mean, if somebody that represents the Community Preservation Act, or any one of these organizations that wants to take money out of my pocket, wants to come in and sit down and explain to the people before it goes on the ballot, or any of the aldermen want to come and sit down and say why they think I should be, an ignorant person, should be allowed to vote on the Community Preservation Act because they don't want to do their homework, because they represent me, then I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about that. Because if everything that they don't want to do is put on the ballot, we might as well have town government, because then people can just vote any way they want, you know? I could vote. I could get everybody to vote. My wife's a witch. They take her around and say, what are we going to do? Oh, okay, let's vote. She's a witch. Let's burn her at the stake. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Because that's how the government worked back in Salem and those places. They let the people vote. The people are not educated enough to vote. And I think Mr. Anderson tried to make that point, and it probably did make it, and I'm just maybe reinforcing it a little bit. So, it's like Mr. Grillo comes in, he got a complaint, let's hear it. He's been in here 3 or 4 times. We understand his complaint. He thinks that he has a good argument relative to the Hurld School, and so we listen to him. And the people will decide that. And now, if any of these other people that want to raise taxes or raise money or raise people's money, then they want to come in and talk about it, that's fine. They're welcome to sit in that chair or any other chair. We'll get 10 chairs. I don't care how many chairs we get. We'll just kick it around and educate the people. So that's it. Ms. Gatta, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Good next time.